Steven Universe is the property of Cartoon Network, Rebecca Sugar, and its respective owners. Any and all footage or images have been used for the sole purpose of critique or parody, and as such are protected under fair use. Please support the official release. Hey, how are you? I'm Slice of Otaku, and it's time for my long-awaited video on Lapis Lazuli. And I'll be real with you, at first, I wasn't gonna make this video considering how some people can get when it comes to their favorite characters. But a ton of you hit me up in the comment section telling me to do it! Just do it! So here we are, and be warned, this may become a bit of a rant, but it's whatever. Let's just jump into this. Okay, so on paper, Lapis is amazing. She is essentially the perfect character for me personally. I've always enjoyed the power of water manipulation in fiction. I mean, water itself demands importance. The presence of water in some capacity is necessary for all known life forms. Within fiction, water typically symbolizes life, freedom, and purity. So when this is taken and placed in relation with Lapis being the stark contrast of this, you open up the possibility for something truly incredible. I absolutely adore broken characters. There's just so much to explore when it comes to them. It's this sort of mental decomposition that to me just begs for comprehension. By no means do you have to condone the actions of such characters, but for them to truly reach the audience and make a meaningful impact, we have to understand them. Their actions must correlate with their ideology and desires in order to make them actually believable, and Lapis fails at this. We first meet Lapis in the episode Mirror Gem, and truly, this is her best episode. Her introduction was executed incredibly well, and her actions were totally called for. She's infuriated by the crystal gems and their utter lack of empathy. They knew that she was trapped within the mirror and conscious, but did nothing, and this provokes her to question them.
Did you even wonder who I used to be?
This question that she raises just clicks with the viewer and moves us to now ask the same question. Who was she? This scene was just so captivating and was actually planned out by Rebecca Sugar since the pilot episode.
The image of Ocean Gem and Mirror Gem I had very early on in the show. I just wanted to see Steven pull the gem out of the mirror and have it just explode into a person. Since the pilot, I wanted that. I'd been hoping for that.
To properly unveil this character, the Crewniverse had to orchestrate all prior episodes perfectly. So much had to be put in place for this to take place, and I for one think that they did a phenomenal job with Lapis at this point. But after Ocean Gem, it's a constant downhill ride. With the episode Jailbreak, there seems to be this huge misconception regarding Lapis's actions towards Jasper. Lapis fusing with Jasper was no sacrifice. In fact, it was one of the most selfish acts in the entire series. Throughout this episode, Jasper was subjected to a substantial amount of physical damage. When facing the combined strength of the crystal gems on her own in this state, she would have no chance of victory, which is why she asked to fuse with Lapis. Together, they would be able to actually win. Jasper was thinking, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. She was very clear about her intentions, which really is the equivalent of the crystal gems fusing to complete a task. Remember, Jasper asked for permission. Lapis is given a choice. If she wanted to, she could have easily incapacitated Jasper by her lonesome. But instead, she agrees to fuse and deceives Jasper. And if the designated purpose of this fusion is the equivalent of, say, Pearl and Garnet fusing to form Sardonyx, then Lapis's deception is the equivalent of Pearl lying to Garnet. Mixed gem fusion is the ultimate connection between gems, so obviously a gem's first time is something special. For Lapis to defile this with deception is just terrible. And the way in which the crystal gems interpret this fusion is also bad. Lapis is made out to be this sort of damsel being abused by the big bad Jasper, which is incorrect. Considering Garnet and Pearl have been in a similar position, you'd expect them to see this as more than just black and white, but they don't. Hell, you might even expect Steven to actually care about Jasper's well-being in this scenario and not just crucify her while glorifying Lapis based on what he's learned from the Sardonyx fiasco. But he doesn't. If Jasper wasn't as blunt and in your face as an antagonist, then maybe the injustice perpetrated by Lapis would be more clear to see. Why am I expected to feel bad for this character? Lapis chose to subject another gem to a torture similar to her own. She chose to ruin Jasper. A ton of fans, including myself, have pleaded for Jasper's redemption, but the reality is, Jasper tried. She went to Lapis, the only one in her eyes who could possibly understand her. Sure, she still had an obsession with power, but I don't see a difference between this and Peridot's past behavior. Peridot was all about pushing homeworld standards onto others, but was given an opportunity to change. Jasper actually admitted that she had a problem and dropped to her knees. For such a prideful gem to do something like this is incredible. But now that Lapis feels better about herself, rather than attempting to help Jasper, she launches her off. Mind you, the events of this episode takes place after the events of Barnmates. Lapis has forgiven Peridot, but doesn't seem to do the same with Jasper, whom she abused. Like,
what?
And on that note, Barnmates is probably what made me just give up on Lapis as a character entirely. The entire episode follows Peridot's attempts to appease Lapis. And sure, Lapis shouldn't be forced to accept Peridot's apology, but her breaking the recorder was completely uncalled for. Peridot gave Lapis her most prized possession, and Lapis both smashed it and called it garbage. Lapis never actually apologizes for this, ever. At the end of the episode, she asks Peridot if she's okay, and because Peridot accepts this and gets all happy, we're expected to accept this? No! She displays absolutely no remorse for her actions, so why are we expected to accept them and never hold her accountable? She pulls the same nonsense in season 4 in the episode The New Crystal Gems. When confronted by Connie about nearly drowning her, she doesn't even apologize or even feel bad. She says, "I've nearly drowned a lot of people." As if it's some sort of excuse. That's worse, Lapis. This character lacks development to the point where she doesn't even make sense anymore. The episode that follows Barnmates is Hit the Diamond, and suddenly Lapis has no problem with anyone. I can understand her acceptance of Peridot, but she had some pretty harsh words for the Crystal Gems up until 2 episodes ago. Neither side issues an apology, they don't address the issue, but suddenly Lapis is pro Crystal Gems?
What?
There is no consistency with this character. It's almost like there are missing episodes. For example, when exactly did Lapis figure out that Steven is part human? When she was freed from the mirror, she told Steven to come back with her to Homeworld. If she knew that he was half gem, this wouldn't be a consideration. But she feels the need to lie to Jasper, telling her that Steven is just a human. Then there's this.
Let's stay on this miserable planet together!
I don't belong on Earth. Not with the crystal gems. I never have.
Guys, this is really sad considering how carefully built up this character was. She's pretty much just been relegated to being a plot device, amplifying the presence of more developed characters like Peridot. And the big question is, what happens when plot device meets plot device? When Lapis and Bismuth meet again? The sad thing is, we don't know Lapis enough to properly predict her response to something like this. Peridot was doing her job, a job tasked to her by Homeworld, and she needed an informant, someone familiar with the present day Earth, and that just so happened to be Lapis because she was just there. Now, I don't know how privileged Lapis is, but I can't see how she planned on going back to Homeworld and expected not to work. Peridot never did anything to Lapis with the intent of being malicious, yet Lapis is so damn pissy and refuses to interact with her. And she even blames Peridot for her current situation, when it was her decision to stay hushed up about the Crystal Gems in the first place. Regardless of what was wrong and what was right, Lapis, own up to your own decisions and stop blaming everyone else. The pity party is over. It's old, it's stale, because everyone has been negatively impacted by the events of the war in some capacity. Which doesn't exactly mean that someone having it worse off than you, like the gems that were shattered and included in the cluster, or maybe the gem mutants or the gems that were corrupted, are more entitled to being upset But it's important to recognize that you're not the first being to ever have issues. And it seems like a common retort to this lack of development is, "There's always season 5, or "There's still time." But Lapis has had nothing but time. Lapis was the first gem to be introduced outside of the ones introduced in episode 1. She's been here since episode 25, and even so, to properly convey a character, you don't need a ton of episodes. Lapis has just been handled terribly, and if somehow you don't believe me and you think Lapis is great and the way that she's been handled is great and she's gonna make Beach City great again, then let me ask you, where is her song? Lapis is a pretty gem. She's aesthetically pleasing, and I can imagine why people might relate to her issues, but I feel like that connection is more so with the concept of Lapis rather than how it's actually executed. I would love for Lapis to be handled properly in the future, and I do think it is very possible, but personally, I don't think Lapis is a good person. And when it comes to that, everyone has different standards. That's just my opinion. And by no means do you have to agree with me, but I do appreciate that you made it to the end of the video, so thank you for that. I'm actually really curious what you guys might be thinking about all this, so let me know in the comments, and be sure to share this video with any open-minded Lapis fans you might know. Thanks for watching and have an awesome day. Hey guys, this was kind of a long awaited video, so I figured I may as well give a long overdue shout out to my brother and his channel Crowtoons. I call him my brother a lot even though we're not actually blood related, but he is my best friend and has provided for this channel plenty of times, whether it be my icons, banner, or even my new avatar for Dragon Ball videos. And actually, he's the one who convinced me to include cartoons on my channel in the first place, so please show him that otaku love. He makes animation videos and just keeps getting better. He actually released a new one just the other day, so make sure you check it out. Anyways, thanks for lending me your ears. I love you.